Good evening, everyone. I'm Shannon Rutherford, the town planner for Farmington. This is the Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting. We will start with roll call of the members. Matthew Bandel,
Here.
Robert Canto,
Here.
Rogia Afshar,
Present.
Scott Halstead,
Here.
David St. Germain,
Here.
Liz Sanford,
Here.
and our alternates, Bruce Polsky,
Here.
Michael Tucci,
Here.
and Peter Zarella.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the April 28th Town Plan and Zoning meeting. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before we get going. Item number 2 under the public hearings, Richard Jones' application for change of zone has been postponed to the 12th. Is it, Shannon? I'm trying to
Correct.
remember. To
Yes, May
May
12th.
12th. So just wanted to put that out there in case anybody's here for that particular hearing. With that, I will pass it on to Liz Sanford and ask her to read our legal notice, please.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that the Town Plan and Zoning Commission will hold a hybrid in-person and online public hearing on April 28, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the following applications. Town Plan and Zoning Commission application for text amendment to the zoning regulations, Article 2, Section 3, to permit two-family dwellings on one lot in the R12 zone. Christian and Heather Gombos, application for home expansion in excess of 2,400 square feet living area and 3,200 square feet total area at 21 Church Street in an R20 zone. Interested parties are encouraged to participate in this hybrid public hearing. Participation in excuse me, in person is at 1 Monteith Drive, Town Hall, Town Council Chambers, or online participation is via the link to the meeting on the Town of Farmington's website. Copy of this proposal is also available online or by calling the Planning and Zoning Department at Farmington Town Hall. I'm rushing, I'm sorry. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 10th day of April, 2025, Town Planning and Zoning Commission.
Great. Thank you, Liz. All right, we're going to jump right into our new business items. New business item number 1, GHA Designs LLC, DBA Curated.
Okay.
Come on up. Sure.
To the
Please.
podium.
Yes, please.
Evening. My name is Patty Nevin. I am the owner-operator of GHA Designs at 902 Farmington Avenue, doing business as Curated. I'm a retail gift shop. I opened on December 31st, 2024. Business has been steady and growing since I opened, and I am looking to expand my business to include a small coffee shop inside the same premise.
Can you walk us through the floor plan a little bit of what you're planning to do? Shannon has it up on the.
So when you walk into the front door and you go to the left, currently that space is open. There will be a small kitchen area in the back corner, and with about 5 bistro tables with 2 seats each in the front along the windows. Behind the kitchen is an ADA compliant bathroom, which we completed with the original build out. I plan to serve things like cappuccino, espresso, cold beverages, light food items like pastries and things like that I'll bring in. I won't be doing any heavy cooking in-house.
Thank you. All right, questions from the commissioners. Matt, any questions?
No questions for me.
Okay, Bob? I'll pass it. Okay, Rosha,
No questions.
Liz?
This won't affect your hours of operation, will it? You weren't planning on opening earlier or staying open later or anything?
No. And to keep the hours the same as the retail business at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
And I do have a special parking arrangement with my landlord, Bob Menta, which Shannon has a copy of.
Okay. Thank you.
Dave?
Sure. Just actually talking about the parking, how's that been going so far?
Very well. Typically I'll have, I would say, no more than 3 different parties in the retail side, at any one time. Usually people come 2 or 3 at a time in the same vehicle. I've continued to park in the front, just to raise an awareness that I am open, but I have parking available to myself and any employees I might have in the future in the back. So there's plenty in the front to accommodate the traffic that we have.
About how many spaces? Yeah.
I have 15 spaces for my lease.
Oh, very good.
And again, there's a shared parking arrangement, so Shaker Cafe, bring more than that. I have, the permission of the landlord to share some spaces with him as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Bruce?
Thank you for being here. No new questions.
Mike?
Happy to see your business expanding. Thank you. Questions are answered.
And Peter?
No questions from me. Thank you.
Okay. I don't think I have any questions either. Anybody else have anything come up?
Just one quick question. Sure, are you gonna be doing it yourself or are you gonna hire more staff for the cafe area?
So I will likely hire at least one more person, and as things progress, possibly 2.
Good. Okay. All right, thanks so much. So we have a decision to make about whether we want to make this a public hearing to happen on the 28th, or whether we feel comfortable for hearing it tonight as a new business or voting on it tonight as a new business item. Thoughts? Anybody feel like it should be a public hearing?
Like to see a public hearing.
Okay. Others?
One way or the other. Good.
Why public hearing? Or is it just curious?
This is on Route 4 and there's a lot of, traffic. And I think the people that travel that road deserve to come before the commission and express their thoughts. And
Mhm.
if they're happy with it. And that's all.
And what's the threshold again for public hearing or not, or new business item?
So it's just whether or not, the term in the regulation is whether or not it's a significant
Yeah.
change. And so ultimately that decision rests with the
Yep.
commission, but if
Okay.
there's sufficient parking on site, there's shared parking, shared use, I believe. The owners, the operators indicated that there's even at times been some individuals that have been, while they're waiting at Modern Tire, going over and just walking through the shop. So it certainly isn't anything that's gonna ever warrant a traffic study. And we're nowhere near any type of traffic changes. So the public hearing isn't going to generate any new information. Because the size and magnitude of the use wouldn't warrant it.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Anyone else feel strongly about a public hearing?
I was feeling that way based on the parking issue, but I
Yep.
think that doesn't seem to be
Okay.
something I'm worried about now.
All right, well, why don't we make a motion to vote on it tonight and see how that plays out?
And if it fails, then that would require.
That's a good
public hearing.
question.
then we'll go, yes, then right, they'll continue that conversation with the commission then, but again, if the public hearing's necessary, the question would be, what additional information? I don't think there's any other information that can be provided. The parking numbers work out in compliance with the regulation as noted in the agenda review. A traffic study would not be warranted. The change, so the entire building had been used as retail originally, and now a portion is being operated as retail and a smaller portion operated as for cafe purposes. So that net change
Yep.
is negligible. And I think if I were to do out the math on it, you end up with maybe 1 or 2 parking spaces differential.
Yep.
And there's no change from a traffic generation standpoint. So again, but the decision with
Yep.
regarding it does technically rest with the commission.
And I think if I understood your point, it was more about giving the public a voice and what's happening on
Well,
that
I
property.
think I understand. I get Shannon's point and
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
if it, the whole issue is traffic for me and that's not an issue.
Okay.
I'm-
Very good. Why don't we get a motion in a
Sure.
second, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application by GH Design LLC, DBA Curated for site plan approval for small scale cafe use and retail at 902 Farmington Avenue, FP zone.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
One
Aye.
thing before we say, I have FL zone. Is it an FL or is it an FP?
is correct.
Okay,
Use it correct.
sorry, I just wanted, because I looked on yours
Yeah.
and I just don't want to approve something that,
It's the flood protection zone.
Okay.
so Because of
Okay.
its proximity to the Farmington River.
great, I'm sorry, I
Depending
didn't
upon
mean
which
to.
Alright.
reference you look at, it's referred to both ways
Okay,
conveniently,
isn't that helpful?
incredibly.
I'm
Yes.
sure.
All right, let's try this
Okay,
again.
let's
All
try
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Best of luck.
good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
All right, we have an applicant. Item number 2 is an application to accept. If we can get a motion in a second, please.
Like to make a motion to accept the application by Niraj and Jennifer Gupta for special permit and site plan review for detached accessory structure in excess of expanded home limit of 3,200 square feet total area and work in floodway at 70 Wood Pond Road, R20 zone, and schedule a public hearing with a recommended hearing date of Wednesday, May 28th, 2025.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Great, thank you. All right, moving on to our public hearings, just a few sort of housekeeping items on that before we jump in. It's nice to see a bunch of people in the audience tonight. So what we'll do for the public hearings is, just like with the first application, the applicant will present to the commission. The commission will ask questions, and then we'll open it up to the public, either anybody in the room or eventually online that wants to speak for or in opposition to an application. We ask just for, I guess, some expediency that you try to keep your comments to within 5 minutes. Nobody's running a timer here, but out of respect to the commission and the audience that's here, that's just a guideline that we provide. But we're happy to hear any public comment that anyone has. So with that being said, jumping right into number 1, Christian and Heather Gombos, special permit application for a home expansion.
Good afternoon. Christian Gambos, my wife Heather and I are looking to put up a 20 by 20 addition to our home, family room space off the back side of the home. It's going to be not seen by the front yard or in the front yard by the road. Backyard's pretty well screened off, so it won't be really seen much over there. It's pretty cut and dry explanation. You can see that in the design, kind of fitting with all the other architecture on the home.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, Matt, questions?
Shannon, can you pull up the GIS? Curious. So you're at the end of a cul-de-sac, correct?
Yes.
And do you have a neighbor immediately behind you? Or is it cut off with Carrington Lane?
Carrington, yeah, it's a private road up behind, nobody directly behind,
Okay,
and on 45s. The field, forget the open space land trust, I believe it is behind us, directly behind. So the views are not very, no view from anybody's yard really is going to see this addition. Driving down their driveway, yes.
so Shannon be right there in that little cutout.
Correct. So
Yeah,
it's
right there.
triangular. So this is 21 Church Street in the cul-de-sac. So as we zoom out, this is Church coming up. This is Carrington. And this is an extension of Carrington. Carrington, I believe, becomes Hart. Street names aren't coming up
Correct.
conveniently. So This is an extension. This is a private drive, so this is not town right of way here. It's a private drive. So there's a handful of homes, but this is all wooded behind.
Okay. I just wanted to say that. Thank you. Also.
Okay, Bob?
No, I'll hold off for right now. Thank you.
Motion.
I'm all set, thank you.
Liz?
Well, looks good. Thank you. No questions.
Dave?
No questions.
Bruce?
Mr. Gambos, your addition will take your living area to 4,100 square feet in a zone that's for 2,400. That's 1,700 over what the limit is. That's almost a double size house. Why do you need this to be so large?
We would like a larger home. We'd like a living room that accommodates a family that's fairly large. Plan on staying here for quite some time, so we want a space that we're gonna enjoy for as long as we are here.
All right, understood. I mean, just there's no other reason other than you just wanted.
No,
Okay. No further questions.
it's a beautiful piece of property. It's a beautiful neighborhood, and this addition would take nothing away from that.
But it would be the largest property on the street by far.
Okay, we could work for that, but there are some big homes up there.
Okay.
2-family.
All right. What's that?
Mike?
No questions.
And Peter?
No questions. Thank you.
Shane, can you just show us where you put some homes in the agenda review? Can maybe we go back to the GIS and just get a sense of where those homes are?
Sure, 15, 18, and 22 Church are all the
Okay.
properties that are on the cul-de-sac. They're the neighboring properties on the cul-de-sac. So I didn't go out further than that. There's 15. 18 is this one across the street. And 22. And they're all of varying shapes, sizes, and configurations. So certainly differing shapes and sizes
Mhm.
throughout the neighborhood in general.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? All right, well, this is a public hearing. So if there's anybody in the room that would like to speak for or in opposition to this application, come on up.
Hi, Peter Master Batista, 18 Church Street. The addition that Chris and Heather are going to put on their house will probably not be seen at all by the road. And I think it will be a nice addition to their house. And if you took a drive up there in the last few days to take a look at it, it has a very low profile. It's a beautiful, beautiful home from the front. So based on the height of this, I don't even think you'll see it from the road. Not at all. So I think it will be a beautiful addition for their family and to the neighborhood. It's not going to interrupt us or be an eyesore or anything like that. The one question I had was, one Commissioner Polsky, is it going to be 4,200? I think it's only 3,200 total overall space, right? Square feet? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I
41.
was looking at this. But I'm in favor of this application. They're good neighbors, and I hope you approve this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Shane, you want to check online?
Yep, there's one hand raised. Amy, you should be able to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can. You're not Amy, but
This is Brian Sefferdini and Amy Sefferdini. We're at 5 Hart Street. We've also taken a look at the application. We think it looks very good, and these have been good neighbors. We're supportive of it. We were just going to ask, to the extent that any trees or shrubbery are taken down which provide screen visually between the properties, we just ask that they be replaced.
Because we basically we don't fully abut their property, but we see their property completely from our backyard.
And that's all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you want to respond to that?
I don't-
Any plans for
There
trees?
will be no trees removed.
Any plans for
There
trees?
will be no trees removed. in
Okay.
this Project.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Shannon online?
If anyone else is called in to offer comment on the application at 21 Church Street, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. You'll be acknowledged to address the commission. Again, if anyone else is called in regarding 21 Church Street, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there are no other hands raised.
Thank you, Shannon. Appreciate it. Any other questions from any commissioners? Mike? Sure.
Out of curiosity, the land trust property behind you, that easement, is that your easement?
No,
Or just,
it's a cross.
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Any discussion? Or we do a motion in a second? Everybody's good?
Mm.
I'm good.
Okay.
All right, why don't we get a motion in a second, please?
Like to make a motion to approve the special permit by Christian and Heather Gambos for home expansion in excess of 2,400 square living area and 3,200 square feet, total area 21 Church Street R20 zone.
Second,
Any discussion? I guess I got to close the public hearing at some point too, right?
Sorry, we gotcha.
All right, thanks, Shannon. She's watching me. Any other discussion necessary? Bruce, I heard your point. I think when I personally look at these, I'm looking at it in this context of what's sort of immediately around it in the space. So in this, I voted both ways on these kinds of expansions. So from my perspective, as one vote, I don't see a particular issue with this addition. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Good luck, Mr. Columbus.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Mr. Hoeb is already ready. Item number 3, Sweeney Associates LLC.
Mr. Chair, sorry, we do need
Yep.
a formal to continue the public hearing, please.
Oh,
So motion in a second to continue
Thought.
the Richard Jones application, please. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the Richard Jones application for change of zone from CR to C1 posted in the town clerk office. Special permanent site plan to construct 3 contractor buildings, work within the flood perimeter overlay zone, waiver for impervious coverage, and waiver for interior landscaping at lot 8556 New Britain Avenue, adjacent to 544 New Britain Avenue,
Second,
with a scheduled hearing date of May 12th.
Yes.
in the beginning, sorry, second.
jumping the gun,
You're
Bob.
ready to
Well,
go.
I heard her say we needed an extension, so that's why, gotcha.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thanks for the reminder there, Shannon. All right, now, Mr. Hoeb.
Still ready. All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Christian Hoeb. My office is located at 314 Main Street. As you indicated, I represented Sweeney Associates LLC. With me this evening are Rachel Green and Brian Sweeney, who are both going to speak briefly. To answer questions, Mike Sweeney and John Bear are also here. I don't believe they'll speak directly to you, but if you have questions, they're available. We have a lot of ground to cover. I can tell you that my clients have been very diligent since the last hearing, working with the town, working with the neighbors. And I think we have a very positive presentation for you this evening. And I'm going to turn it over to them right away because really they're the corpus of this presentation. There's nothing I'm going to add a lot to. So I'm going to call up Rachel and ask her to kind of address the commission, and then we'll go to Brian.
Hello, Rachel Green, and thank you all for your time. And I also just wanted to apologize that Brian and I were not here at the last session. Just to provide a little bit of context about what this building is for, I think you probably guessed, but we're building this because we want to live here. It's our dream home. It's where we hope to raise our kids and live for a very long time. We know it's also part of a neighborhood, and so we're really eager to make sure that all of our neighbors, including the Khalid family, are very comfortable with how we're proceeding. That's really important to us. And I think we've made some really good progress since the last session. So Mary and Naeem were gracious enough to meet with me this weekend in person. We were able to talk everything over. They have given us a list of 5 requests in addition to, we had some homework from the commission as well, which we're happy to walk through. And I'm happy to report that we will agree to all of them. So I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I spoke with Mr. Cleat earlier today, and I think we're in a good place. So I'm happy to go through the requests and kind of the status of each of them, if that would be helpful.
Please.
And then I'd love to invite Brian to come up and walk through, if it would also be helpful, some of the additional information that we put together for you all. Okay, so request number 1 was to provide additional detail on the plan as to intended blasting areas. And that has been provided to the Khalids as well as to you all. So that is done. Second is to revise the blasting plan to reference the requirements of the Farmington zoning regulations, which are stricter than the state of Connecticut's regulations, and we have done that as well. Third is to provide a copy of the insurance certificates from both Sweeney Associates and John Bear Inc., naming the Khalids as additional insureds on their business insurance. We have done that as well, and we have sent copies of those updated accord certificates to the Khalids attorney. And fourth was to revise our plans to divert the drains to the west or south of the property and away from the Khalid's property at 77 Eli. We have done that as well and have the updated plans completed today. And then the last one was to also engage an independent third party to monitor the blasting process, in addition to, of course, the fire marshal, who will also be there just as an extra set of eyes, and to ensure that the Farmington zoning regulations are met. And so we have agreed to that as well. We don't have the exact third party identified yet. We've been doing our best to figure that out as quickly as we can. But I think there are a few reputable firms that do that. And it seems like it will not be a problem to come to an agreement on a mutually agreeable third party. And we have no problem with getting that done. So I think we're in a good spot. I'm happy to take any questions about any of that.
Do you have any?
Okay, and
We'll kind of finish, maybe we'll wrap the
Yeah, let's-
presentations and we'll come back to questions
Great.
after that. Be perfect. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Brian Sweeney. So I'm here to talk through the additional information that was requested by the commission in the last session. So this was all sent to you all beforehand, and I can walk through it if it's helpful. Okay, I'll walk through it.
Please.
Okay, so Rachel mentioned that one of the requests was to divert the foundation and roof drains. Yeah, this is the right. So you'll notice that at the top of the screen, there's the line with the 2 X's through it. That was the previous spot where the drains were located for the gutters and also the foundation outlet. Just to in an abundance of caution and to make sure we have some additional different distance from the Khalids, we moved it down. So this was a draft that David Whitney, our engineer, is sent us, I think, Wednesday. And you'll see that it's from the house. It starts at the house, moves directly out to the west towards the hill there, the edge of the mountain. The final plan, it'll actually be a little bit further south than that, so more towards the bottom of the pool area. But that's additional distance from the Khalid, so I don't think that's an issue. It was just based on what made sense from a grading perspective.
Mhm.
And I'm not an engineer, so I won't try to say that. But yeah, that's the drain. I don't think there's anything else on this page, so we can go to the next one. All right, and then so the red box here, the red boxes here denote the intended or likely area of blasting. The only slight modification is that a longish red rectangle that extends from the house to the top of the pool, that'll be shifted down to the bottom of the pool. But other than that, it's all right. Yep. And you can stop me with questions as I go if it's helpful, but I'll just keep going otherwise. All right, so this is a kind of closer in view of the house. You can see the black circles are the approximate locations of the test pits that John Bear drilled to identify where the ledge starts. I won't go through the words word by word here. You guys had this in advance, but basically what we have here is it shows how deep the hole needs to be approximately, how deep we found ledge, and then I just did math to identify the difference there. The ledge at the bottom, it talks about the anticipated blast pattern. It's John talked about this last time, so I'm sort of repeating him, but the way it typically works, and he could answer this better, but I from what I learned last time is you start at the toe of the rock where the ledge is the deepest, and then you work towards where the ledge is higher. So what we think makes the most sense, given that the pink and the green sections the ledge is roughly at like 8 feet. I think in the bottom left it's 5, but it's roughly pretty consistent throughout the pink and the green sections. Start from the bottom right and sort of work to the top left. Yeah. All right. Any questions on this page? All right, cool. Backyard. Yeah. So this is the roof and the outlet drain. So that blue rectangle will be moved down towards the bottom of the each one. And same idea here, where we identified the depth of the hole necessary, identified where the ledge we believe is, and that there's some amount of blasting to make up the difference that's necessary. Similar for the front yard. So the pinkish rectangle at the top, or whatever shape that is, that's the line for the septic system. The darker purple is the septic tank holding area, which needs to be a bit deeper, but that area of ledge is pretty far under the ground anyway, so there's minimal blasting needed in that particular spot. Really, the main area of blasting that we anticipate is right at the black circle right by Shannon's cursor there. That there's ledge that's pretty close to the surface there because there's a little knoll in the landscape. So we do think that there will be a little bit more blasting there, although we only need 3 feet hole. There's not a large requirement for a depth of hole there, so it's not too substantial. The green shape there is the line required for the well. So sort of just going diagonally from the house down, that's the well, and then the other one extending out towards the road is for the utility lines. Same idea here. There's the ledge is fairly deep there, so there's not going to be a large requirement for blasting, with the exception of the knoll area where there may be some. All right, any questions?
I think we'll wait for all the presentations and we'll come back with questions. Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you all.
Thanks so much.
So my clients have worked very hard in a very short period of time. They provided this information to your town planner. We've had an opportunity to review it with the town planner. I'm not aware of any objections or concerns, but I would let the planner speak for herself. We've also had communications with council and our neighbor, and feel like we have resolution with them in terms of any concerns they may have. I invite them to come up and speak as well. And so at this point, if you have specific questions, we're here, we're ready, but we think we have a good presentation and we're ready for whatever you have.
All right, thank you. Let's turn it over for questions. Matt?
Thank you for the detailed and thoughtful presentation, and more so, thank you for the neighbor outreach. I think that was
Agreed.
goes a long way. Also, just wanted to mention that we did look at the Dominique Court blasting, and that's pretty close proximity. I think it's closer than the neighbors, so I'm satisfied with presentation and no other items.
Okay, thanks. Bob?
I agree with Matt. I think this was a much better presentation. I think it put everybody at ease, at least it put me at ease. They did their due diligence and their homework, and they did reach out to the neighbors, so I think we're pretty good.
Great. Roja?
Yeah, same. I called fellow commissioners, pretty happy about what I heard. No questions for me.
All right, Liz?
Thanks for the new details. Appreciate it. And really, I want to commend you for working through this as opposed to coming to loggerheads. Thank you for both sides working together.
I was gonna say the same thing, so I'm not gonna say it, but thank you.
Ditto, yeah.
Ditto. That's what-
Bruce?
I agree with my fellow commissioners. Thank you for all the extra effort. Appreciate it.
Mike?
Nothing new from me. I echo everything that's been said to my right.
And Peter?
Join everyone's sentiments and thank you for the presentation.
It's a reflection really of my client's efforts. They came right in and started working right away. I couldn't keep up with them, frankly. I kept getting emails and maps and information. I'm like, well, I don't want to know a lot about engineering. And so but they were really good, and they communicated fully with the neighbors. So this, if you don't have specific questions, perhaps council wants to be heard. I don't know. I'm not sure if you're satisfied with the presentation.
Well, let me open the public hearing. That's what you're waiting for, right? Let me open the public hearing. It is a public hearing. If anybody wants to come up and speak for or in opposition that is in the room, come on up.
Good evening, all of you, for giving us the opportunity to work it out. And I really appreciate our neighbors. Whatever we wanted to be comfortable during this blasting procedure and whatever precautions we wanted them to take, and they promised, and I'm amazed. I'm gonna thank you. They did it in a record time. If it was me, probably taken me 3 months. But good job, guys. I don't have any question, and they addressed all our concern. And we're here to thank you guys giving me a comfort level by postponing last times to today, and giving them a time so address all the concerns I had. But thank you very much. I'm all set. Any question for me? I'm okay.
No, thank you. Anybody else in the room that wants to speak for or in opposition? Shannon, want to
If
come on?
anyone has called in online regarding the application for blasting and drilling at 8196, otherwise known as 71 Eli Road, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom to address the commission. Again, if anyone is called in regarding the application for Sweeney Associates at 71 Eli Road, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. Any other questions from any commissioners? We'll be comfortable closing the public hearing at this point. I think we are. All right, we close the public hearing. Can we get a motion in a second, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application by Sweeney Associates LLC for special permit for drilling and blasting for a new single-family home on building lot 8196 71 Eli Road, R80 zone as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, I'm just going to state for the record now, these kind of situations make me proud to be a resident of Farmington. The fact that two families came together to resolve this without us needing to pick a side or vote to pick a side is very much appreciated. So I want to commend both families in working this out before you got here tonight. So with that being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Best of luck to everybody.
Good luck.
Thank you. All right. Item number 4, Town Plan and Zoning Commission application for text amendment. Maybe we'll wait a minute.
Wait a second.
Clear the room. Right.
Mr. Chair, I've got a hand raised. Do you mind if I entertain? It's a commission member from another commission, so I just want to check in.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd have
okay.
no objection.
Yeah.
Liz, you can unmute your microphone.
Okay, thanks. No, I just wanted to speak on this specific
Okay.
item when the time arises.
When we get ready for public comment. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute you then for now. Thanks.
Perfect.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
No, fair enough. The
very
timing
quick
was
with
all a
trigger
little
finger on
off.
that.
Yep.
Wasn't
Threw a
sure.
flag a little early.
That's okay.
A lot of that tonight, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Apparently no one wanted to stay for my presentation.
Yeah.
All right, good
Garrett,
evening,
we love
everyone. Good evening, everyone. For the record, my name is Garrett Daigle. I'm the assistant town planner. So real quick, I've got a short presentation. Going to go over the text amendment for the R12 zone. And then I have a couple maps to show you what properties would be affected in town. So this is a text amendment for the R12 zone to allow two-family dwelling units. So and this would be by special permit only, so it's not a site plan or anything like that. It still requires a special permit. So two-family dwellings are currently permitted in the R12 zone with a minimum lot area of 12,000 square feet by special permit. The proposed text would be to add two-family dwellings per lot, provided that the lot meets the minimum frontage for the zone, which is 75 feet, and that the lot contains a minimum of 36,000 square feet net area. So that's not including wetlands, floodplain, and slopes greater than 33%. This is fairly common throughout our other regulations that we've done. So that it can't just be, I've got this little postage stamp, even though the rest of it's wetlands, you have to have 36,000 square feet of usable land in order to proceed with this regulation. So the first map I have this is all the R12 zones in Farmington. I did a couple little vignettes or zoom ins because it's not a very broad zone in town. So in the upper left, you can see Main Street, Unionville, Farmington Avenue. I've highlighted Plainville Avenue, West District Road. Kind of in that corner is Mohawk Drive. And then there's a small section over by Lake Garda. This would not apply to this R12 zone. And two families are not permitted in the R12 Lake Garda zone. So only single families are permitted. And then a large area on Garden Street in Farmington. It's R12 is only on Garden Street in the Farmington Village section. So I put a little marker for where Miss Porter's is, and then Garden Street and Main Street. And then the last group is over in the southwest corner of town, which is off of Route 6 near Tunxus. So this is Junior Road, part of Harold Road, Scott Swamp Road, and Inwood Road. And then this is the properties that it would apply to. So it further limits the area. So it's actually, we have a list of all the properties, but it ends up being about 22 properties with the disclaimer that that is only including wetlands and floodplain, because that's what I could analyze through our GIS system. I could not exclude the areas of 33% slope or greater. I'd have to go out to each individual lot and measure that area. So any one of these lots would still need to do a survey and confirm the usable area. So the point of this regulation then being is that this would really only apply to existing R12 zoned lots. It wouldn't necessarily be applicable to a subdivision or something along those lines, because you're allowed to have a two-family on a 12,000 square foot lot in the R12 zone. So if you're doing an R12 subdivision, you would just make 12,000 square foot lots and you can make it all duplexes. So this would be adaptive reuse of some of our older, oversized properties in town. So the properties that this would apply to, we've got 3 up in Unionville section, near the far end, near the Avon Burlington town line. There's 1 property on River Road, 1 on Sunset Terrace, and 1 on Main Street in Unionville. Looking over at Garden Street, this is where the largest concentration of, again, this is all properties on Garden Street. I would add about 5 of these properties are owned by Miss Porter's, so it's unlikely that it would be used for those properties. And then the last section is primarily along Route 6 with 1 property on Junior Road. Again, there's 2 lots here on Scott Swamp Road. They're quite oversized and only a portion of the property is actually in the R12 zone. So it's likely that they would either do a zone change or some other type of development as opposed to just sticking two-family dwellings on the property. And then we've got the list of properties if anyone wants to see what the actual properties are. And again, like I said, there's 22 properties total. 5 of those are Miss Porter's. And then 6 are on Route 6, 9 around Garden Street. So there's kind of a cluster with a couple floating out in the middle. There's one property that this might apply to that's not shown. It's on Farmington Avenue. It was just because there's no way to display it. Again, if you add in the slopes and the floodplain, it might be excluded at that point, which is 1501 Farmington Avenue.
Good.
Any questions?
Thanks, Garrett.
Okay.
Matt, any questions?
So how many total parcels would this affect? You say 20?
22.
22, and of that, there's a handful that probably fall into that 33%.
Right.
Okay.
And again, it doesn't necessarily exclude them, but that area does not count. So if you've got 38,000 square feet and 4,000 are steep slopes, well, that now drops you below 36,000 and this would not apply.
Okay. All right, that's it for me. Thanks.
Bob?
I'm good right now.
Okay, Roshan?
Can you please tell us the history behind or what prompted you to make this change? Please, can you dive into?
It's supported by the Affordable Housing Plan to try and provide a diversity of housing options. So this is a way to kind of include some of this type of development of reusing some of our existing lots that otherwise would not be able to apply for any other type of development. Again, we're requiring 3 times the minimum lot area to have 4 units, when again, if you want only 2 units, you only need 12,000 square feet. So it's not a blanket approval that, for every 12,000 square feet, you get 2 units. You can have a second unit if you meet this criteria. If in the future we wanted to change that, that's certainly an option. But as of right now, this is the proposal to try and ease into it, see how this works. And then again, it's reuse of some of our older parcels that are oversized and wouldn't necessarily have any other option. So Farmington has an interior lot regulation, but it's quite restrictive. There's a lot of limits and it's not really easy to apply to any of these properties. So this is a way of trying to add some more housing units, especially in some of our historic areas. They're not necessarily historic properties, but Farmington Center, Unionville Center, those are kind of the older homes, larger lots or odd shaped lots, especially on Garden Street along the Farmington River. You've got very deep lots to get the river access, but they're pretty narrow. Most of them do meet that 75-foot width. So it's still conforming in terms of the zoning regulations. You just have oversized lots that can't otherwise be used.
So if we don't accept this text amendment, people would have to come before us for a special permit, right?
No, if you accept this, it would require a special permit.
No, if we don't accept the text amendment.
And there's no.
Then there's no option.
Yeah, there's no option for people to even request this.
I see. So if we agree to it, then they need to come for get a special permit, or no?
Yes, it would still require a special permit. Yeah, so even for a single 2-family dwelling on a 12,000 square foot lot, that is still requiring a special permit. So that would still come before you, same as this regulation. It would still come before you as a site plan special exception. No,
Yeah.
special permit, I'm sorry.
No, special permit. So the only thing that doesn't come before the commission is if it's a vacant lot of record and somebody's putting a single family home on the premise, then it doesn't come before the
Right.
commission unless there's a ridge line or an expanded home or some other threshold being tripped, if you will. So anytime you're putting more than a single family home, a 2-family, the only other 2 families only permitted in R9 and R12. And then in R9, you can do 3 and 4 family under certain criteria. But again, those all require any multifamily. Anytime you come over a single family requires a special permit and site plan with TPZ. So this is then, this text amendment allows 2 families on 1 lot rather than a subdivision, because as Garrett noted, some of these lots are unique in configuration that a subdivision or interior lot is not a viable option, but they are an oversized lot So in theory, the additional density, similar to what we considered with the ADU regulation and the detached structure, but the ADU is only allowed for a single family home. You don't put an ADU on a multifamily property. Okay, so this is a mechanism to allow that increased density without changing a subdivision regulation or changing the interior lot regulation, which we did not want to touch because the interior lot regulation, I'll say, is rather specialized. And then additionally, this did, so as with many of these things, no different than the ADU regulation, and we had Mr. Galvin prompting and pushing at us for the ADU regulation. This regulation, the genesis of this was a conversation with an individual looking to try to figure out how to subdivide their lot or create an interior lot on a property that mathematically those two avenues did not work. And there was not a mechanism for doing so. And of course, you can't do a variance, right? There's no hardship for that. So this was a mechanism while requiring 3 times the lot area. So in theory, plenty of space, shared space for the families to accommodate driveways, play areas, whatever, family area, if you will, on the lot, assuming that the commission agrees. And that's fine. And so we can have this conversation this evening. It doesn't have to be acted on this evening, certainly. If you want to review the list and go out and drive around and take a look at all the possible properties, that's certainly, we've got time. There's no rush on this per se. So, but that's the genesis of this and the thought process and how this, so if the text amendment is only step 1, if the commission likes the text amendment, again, similar to the ADU regulation, right? We did the ADU regulation and then Mr. Galvin came in and his sister availed themselves of that regulation and got the permit for the detached ADU. And that was a special permit in site plan review. That would be their own application. So similarly, any of these properties, those property owners would have to come before you with a special permit application and site plan review.
Thanks, Shannon. Why did we choose these zones or this zone rather?
Well, because it's already, so R9 already goes up to 4 family. So there's a 2, 3, and 4 family thresholds in the R9 zone. R12 already allows 2 family, and that's, again, this particular homeowner or property owner was looking, they had an R12 property. So that was the genesis. Currently, right now, R20, 30, 40, and 80, we do not have a multifamily. The only multifamily element is the ADU, detached and attached ADUs. So right now, there is no other zone other than when we get into our specialty zones like midpoint development, et cetera. Those, there's no other zone that has a multifamily in our residential zones. So that was the reasoning for that.
Thanks.
We have actually toyed with, we've talked about and haven't done anything with allowing 2 family in the R20 as that first benchmark into the next step in. Again, it's allowed in R9 and R12. It would have the same parameters. It would have to have a special permit if we even wanted to start to entertain that and have that conversation and open up the R20 zone to 2 family homes. So.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, I have a related question. Sorry. Liz.
Go right ahead.
So as a refresher, so if we approve this and a special permit comes in, what's our leeway? Sometimes when it becomes a regulation or becomes
No, you're
text,
right.
we have less wiggle room to say,
100%.
no, you can't do that. So
100%,
Okay.
correct. So once it is a regulation, then if the applicant demonstrates that they meet the regulation and there's no notable adverse impact, then correct, there needs to be standing and reasoning for denial of an application then, correct.
Okay.
So to that end, the commission, as you're looking at this, if you think perhaps should fencing, if somebody is going to avail themselves of this and put a second home on the property, should screening parameters be a requirement? Should they be obligated to put a 5-foot or 10-foot buffer on either side of the property or fencing on either side to ensure privacy to the adjacent neighboring properties? As I've been talking, we're continuing to kick this around. That's a thought that came to mind, that some type of privacy screening might be an appropriate requirement of the recommendation, so that the commission has the ability to require that, or, some sort of flexibility so the commission can use that. The only other thing would be ensuring parking or limiting other outbuildings, which we kind of do with the total density on the property. We have a habitable area and non-habitable area. So you can have garage and shed space up to 75% of your living area. So if you have 1,000 square feet of living area, you can have up to 750 square feet of garage, shed, pool house type space, storage space on your property. So there are other metrics that we utilize to try to make sure we don't get outbuilding after outbuilding after outbuilding on a piece of property. But you're correct, Mr. Chair, that once it becomes a regulation, the latitude is diminished, as it is with all of them. Yep.
That's what I thought. That's why I asked. Thanks, Shannon.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
Okay, to follow up on that, no, that just got me thinking. So if we do approve this, but setbacks and those regulations would not change, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so
All
side
the
and
setbacks, the
rear.
side, rear, yes.
Okay,
Wetland regulations don't change, all of that. So 100%. Yes.
okay. Okay, I think I'm done for now.
That's
Dave?
okay.
Do we know of any other towns that have done this, that we might be able to look at what they have?
I haven't looked at that and I don't know. And I'm not even sure how we would effectively search that, quite honestly. It'd be, yeah.
Yeah, because each town has their own zones.
Yeah.
A number of towns do follow kind of that same scheme of our single digit or double digit times 1,000 square feet is the minimum lot area. So it would be something similar. It might be a town has an R15 or an R8 or something, something like that. So we could do a calculation of what their minimum lot area per unit is,
Right.
and then compare that to what this regulation is proposed as.
Many towns allow a flag lot though, which we don't.
Yes.
We do not allow in Farmington, and so the flag lot is just that. You have your 100 by 100-foot box at the front.
Yep.
And then literally a 15-foot right of way, and then 100 by 100-foot box at the back. And so to that point,
Yeah.
you're basically,
You looked at
if we had a flag lot regulation, I wouldn't need to be in here, right? So that's,
Yep.
at least this way, and in that instance, then you have two different property owners in this 10 or 15-foot right of way that's coming up the side of one individual, the front lot's property, and then the rear lot's coming in behind. In this case, it retains common ownership. So now it doesn't prevent someone from condominiumizing. I'm not sure that's a word.
Wow.
The property, yeah, well, we've had that. So the underlying property, so from our assessor's record standpoint, it's one owner, but then there's they basically create a condo association to separate the two and create their own mini condo association. By state law, I can't prevent anyone from doing that on any property. We tried.
Yeah.
I had to get the town attorney involved, and he told me I had to sign the papers regardless of how I thought about it.
Yeah.
So they can create a condominium, but again, it's still a legal document, then binding those two properties together a little different than what you have, you know, and we get it. Quite honestly, you have it on some of the organically on the Farmington Village, right up and down Main Street. And you have some of these lots that are way back on these
yeah.
long driveways, and there's shared driveways, and there's all sorts of unique agreements. Some of them were handshakes back in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s that don't work so well now in 2025, but this is that's all that was done, and there's very limited recording data. But yes, so that's where we are with that. But the flag lot is what many towns use in order to do that. We refer to it as an interior lot, in that we have much more stringent requirements with respect to that. We still require the same frontage, so you can get like a funky lot line to get there, but the frontage is the same, and there's many other stipulations to it. It's quite limiting. It's served its purpose, and that's why I don't want to touch it. I really don't want to touch it. It does serve a value. And I don't think we really want to touch that. And we certainly don't want to open it up to flag lots. I don't think that's an appropriate venue for Farmington.
All right, I'm good.
That was a really long answer.
Very
Sorry.
helpful though. Bruce?
Yeah, I'm having trouble seeing the value in doing this. I mean, it's a fairly limited number of lots, so the impact on our affordable housing is minimal at best. I take no comfort from the fact that a special permit would be required because we approved most of them. In fact, in the time I've been here, I think we turned down the rabbit guy and approved every other one. So, you know, mucking around in, you know, the Garden Street area, I just don't see that this is going to do a whole lot for us. So I would leave this alone. I would drop this. I just don't see the value in doing this. I see more problems we will create than we could potentially solve. My thoughts.
Thanks, Bruce. Mike?
My question was, could you walk through the process, how this would be approved if we were to pass this amendment? Per se, like, would the Historical Society be involved for Garden Street? Would the neighbors be notified should a special permit come in for a build? Like, how would that go?
So, sure. So if it's approved, if the property is listed with the historic Farmington district or listed with the Unionville Historic District, then yes, any new building, just like we did for Church Street. So 7 Church Street was before us last month or last meeting. That had gone through the Farmington Historic District, received their approval, and then came back to Farmington TPZ because of the nuances of how that subdivision had taken place. So any property that was within either historic district would have to start with those historic districts to develop a home and building that was in keeping with those historic district requirements. So that absolutely would be the first step. And then assuming that benchmark was met, and that would be public hearing with either commission. Assuming that benchmark was met, they would then come before this commission for the special permit for allowing the property to be utilized, to have two-family homes on it. What we would likely do, so they didn't spend an ungodly amount of money on architecture and whatnot, they would get a preliminary review with one of the historic district commissions to get the general sense and understanding, and then come to this commission with that approval, and then go back to the historic district to finish out the details of all the exterior finishes and particulars, again, similar to what we just did with the Church Street application. For TPZ, it would be a standard public hearing. So it would be the sign posted in front of the property and mailing notification 10 days prior, legal notices. The mailing notification is to all other property owners within 200 feet of the subject property from all property lines. So not just the building, but it's a 200-foot radius from the property lines. So those notice requirements would all be the same.
Thank you. And is there any guarantee that this will meet affordable housing?
No,
No, it's
No.
not, and this is not be under any affordable requirements. It's kind of that
Little way.
middle, near 100%, maybe a little over 100% AMI, but it's generally the, so for a
very
two-family
similar
is,
to the
right,
ADU.
right.
Right, so the ADU, we discussed that we can't monitor the ADU and at what price point those are being rented at, whether it's an attached or detached accessory dwelling unit. This would function as the same. So whether it was a condo and they kind of minimized and sold off, or all the units were rented, that price point is naturally lower because of the density, location, size. It is not necessarily hitting an 8-30G affordable check mark, but it is providing more affordable, organically or naturally affordable, naturally occurring affordable opportunities within the community.
Okay. And another question is, let's say the owner or landlord wants to sell a parcel with the two properties on it, or passes away or something. How would that play out? Would the tenant of the second housing have to renegotiate? I don't.
It would function like a normal real estate transaction. So if the person sells or passes away, it would function like a normal real estate transaction of a multifamily property. That, there's usually leases. So when those lease ups, then the new owner can renegotiate with them. If it's a condo, there's a joint property. So that would, again, function like any other condominium property where one member passes away. Someone has to buy that unit to now get that share of the condominium.
Thank you. One more question, sorry. I understand that Porter's has a bunch of housing for their employees or teachers. We said it's unlikely that Porter's would build. Is there any comment that we had from Porter's? Do they already notified that this is proposed and we may be building new houses for the girls or for the teachers?
No, and even the properties that fall under this for Miss Porter's are the pool house property.
Okay.
Which already has two buildings, I don't know if they're single family or multifamily homes on it. And then the primary campus property.
Okay.
That just a portion along Garden Street is zoned R12. The one that the buildings that face on, the main street, that property goes all the way back to Garden Street, and only the rear portion is zoned R12. Theoretically, if it was part of the school, there would be some discussions on that.
Okay.
With the school at that point.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Peter?
No questions.
I'm back. I got another one that came up.
All right, go, and then I'll go.
Okay, so the real estate transaction brings up, okay, someone, they decide to convert it to single family. So then we'd have maybe 1 2-family and a single family. That's fine? I'm, so like if you had 2 families and someone said, forget about it, I want to have the whole house to myself.
We have a de facto ADU, detached ADU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just, it got me
It's
thinking.
not, it would be technically non-conforming with respect to the size because the ADUs are size limitations, but.
Right.
Typically, once it's 2-family, I suppose, yes, it can be converted back to 1 family. We typically take a look, so we have had that and it'll bounce back and forth. Once it's been a 2-family, that use right, if you will, is pretty much allowed in perpetuity. So somebody could, somebody could come in and occupy half, renovate half, flip over, occupy the other half, renovate the other half, and then, or yes, they could
Knock down walls and, okay.
remove it and go back to single family use, correct? Yes.
I'm gonna
Okay,
go-
thank you.
I'm gonna go first, Bob. I may have missed it. How many of those homes are in historic districts, Farmington, or?
I did not do that,
Just
obviously.
approximately, just a few?
Yeah,
probably?
a few. I know the 230 Main Street Unionville is definitely in the historic district. That's the
Okay.
Unionville Historic District. Obviously all the ones on Scotts Swamp are not in the historic district. And there's only a few homes on Garden Street that are in the historic district.
Okay.
Mainly Main Street homes are in the historic district. Garden Street is
Fewer.
few and
homes.
far between.
Yeah, there's fewer homes in the historic district on Garden. It's, to Garrett's point, it's mostly Main and High Street.
And where are we? My other question is, where are we currently with our percent of affordable housing? I know this won't move that number, but it has some
little
impact on how
over
I'm thinking about it.
8%.
I
I want to say it's a little over 8%, and that does not include 80 South Road, 1600 New Britain Avenue, or 402 Farmington Avenue.
Yeah, I was
Which
wondering
all
about
count
all
as
those that are
affordable. So
leased
once
out.
those 80 and South Road had been CO'd, but not in time for
Yep.
the Affordable Housing Appeals List, so that'll be on the next one, and then depending on when 1600 New Britain Avenue starts getting COs, and then 402 Farmington Avenue starts getting COs, that'll depend on when those apply to our total number of affordable percentage.
Yeah, but we're probably hovering around that 10% with those in addition, I would guess.
Yes.
I'm not
and-
gonna make you do math tonight, but
No, and the affordable housing percentage is based on the housing count of the previous census.
okay,
So they don't necessarily add the COs to the
okay,
denominator each
Gotcha.
year. It'll stay at our 2020 census number
okay.
until the 2030 census, and then
What is a CO?
a certificate of occupancy. So when you
Certificate
live
of-
there.
of occupancy. So once you finish the building, our office goes out, the building official will go out, and depending on the type of structure, the fire marshal will go out and inspect it for health, life, and safety. And then they'll give us a certificate of occupancy, so that way you can now occupy the space.
Thanks.
Mr. Cantor.
All right.
This is gonna be good.
No, I'm just curious, because Mike and Liz brought up something that just kind of piqued my interest. So you have you put two families on one parcel.
Mhm.
Person sells, they have to sell, we're not splitting parcels, they have to sell both houses on that parcel. Correct? Because that parcel is
Correct,
getting sold as a whole.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
Which is
No
the
different if there was an ADU. The
Correct.
only caveat would be is if they had created a condominium. And then there are two separate owners if the
Now
condominium
we have a
created. So now, well, you don't have a problem. You sell. One or the other party sells, party A sells. And then party B still owns the other building. And now there's a shared condominium agreement, no different than if you go into an HOA. And there's HOA documents and you're responsible, there's agreements as to how you're responsible for maintaining the yard, how you're responsible for maintaining the driveway and roadway and access and et cetera. And if there's any other rules of engagement that it's basically will function like a mini HOA. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Question. Are these requests coming from developers or homeowners? Can you answer that or?
Yeah, it's a, yes, so it's the property, it's a property owner that happens to own multiple properties.
I guess I was just curious if they're Farmington residents.
Yes.
Okay.
yes, yes.
Go ahead. Yes-ish.
Yes.
Yes,
ish.
that's,
They own property, so yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
So we still don't have a really strong business case as to why we should do this, right? I mean, I see a lot of downside risks for us and very little gain. Is there something I'm not seeing?
Well,
We've
we've got a long way to go on this one. We got to open to the public and
Right.
then have some discussion too. Okay, but
Same.
I'm mixed honestly right now. Like I'm
Mhm.
not,
I-
I'm not in any rush to vote on it tonight, I'll be honest, like. I would honestly prefer to study, but it's a public hearing, so we should hear what the public has to say if anybody has any comment, but I appreciate that, Bruce, and I think that discussion will come. Fair enough. We have two people in the room, or do either of you want to speak for it? Nope. Head nods, okay.
Okay.
Check on the line, please, Sharon.
Yeah, if anyone has called in online to offer comment regarding the application for the zone text amendment, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. I've got two hands raised. Okay. Liz, go ahead. You should be able to unmute your microphone.
Okay,
If
thank Elizabeth Liz Gemsky, 35 Garden Street. Calling in to say, although I appreciate all the effort for the staff in terms of looking at this, I think it is a blanket provision that makes it easier, obviously, to increase density without taking into account the property on a case-by-case basis. So my suggestion is to tread very lightly. This is often called the slippery slope. No camel's nose under the tent. I think you really should look at these very unique properties on an individual basis versus putting forth a blanket tool to allow for increased development.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I did have one question. I was trying to look at the list of properties online. I didn't see it online on the website. So I don't know if there's someone who can point me to that. I found all the other documents, just not the listing of the properties.
Yep, this is the presentation for this evening. We will post that tonight. So it didn't have the maps either. So the text amendment, but we will post the presentation to the website tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Okay, if anyone else has comments, yes, we have Mr. Longworth, you should be able to unmute your microphone.
Yes, I'm here. Unfortunately, I think Elizabeth took the words right out of my mouth, but I will at least reiterate that perhaps with a little bit more detail. As I looked at the presentation, I think one thing that wasn't considered is as I look across the town, this does apply to all of those properties, and it doesn't take into consideration the diversity. There's, you look at the shapes of those other parcels, and they're very different. Look at the lots on Garden Street; those are very long, narrow lots, as opposed to the lots in Unionville. Completely different shapes, different characters of the neighborhoods. And I agree with Elizabeth. I think you really need to take them on a case-by-case basis. And I don't know if that's possible. Didn't sound like that was possible, but I really think that needs to be done. Frankly, I'm concerned about the density. I have a lot of other concerns, but it sounds like you're concentrating on this particular issue for tonight. I did send out a letter. I apologize for a couple of typos in it, but I voiced all of my concerns. I did meet with the property owner that you had mentioned earlier today. I voiced my concerns with him, and I'll leave it up to the zoning board. You certainly have heard me out, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, just for the record, as Mr. Longworth noted, and it was shared with the commission, it's been posted as part of the public record. He did provide us with a written correspondence regarding outlining his concerns that's shared here on the screen. So it's part of the video record of this. And it details a number of concerns that he had regarding the text amendment.
Thank you.
If anyone else is called in to offer comment, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. This is for the R12 text amendment. Yeah, Mr. Chair, there's no other hands raised regarding this matter.
So the comments that the two folks online made, there's really no way to do this individually by property, right? That's sort of, I didn't think so, but I wanted to,
Not
that's
direct.
what you're doing here is as close as you can get to that.
Right, the special
Yeah.
permit is the way to treat each property as its own.
Correct.
That's right. Okay, just confirming. Anybody else have questions? All right, I'm going to propose that we continue this. You want to go to the 28th?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm not here at the next meeting.
Can we get a motion in a second? I got a sense that we
I
want to
agree.
continue. Okay.
Yes, I would like to
I
continue.
didn't hear a lot of like.
Is there additional information we should ask for in the meantime?
I personally, I just want to be able to like dig into this in more detail, but I don't know. Does anybody think?
I
of
want to get in
anything
my
that would
car
be
and drive around.
So
To be
helpful
completely
to-
honest.
to
yeah,
ask
so what I
someone
can look
there?
at some of the other towns similar to
That would
Farmington,
be
see
good.
what their regulations say for and like I said, I can do a calculation based on the density instead of just saying this is what their zone is and they love it. I can do a little calculation based on that. I can list what properties are in the historic district. We can talk about additional controls, privacy controls, things like that.
That's what I was
We had to-
thinking.
Yeah.
In terms of
That's-
looking at other towns, that was my.
Yeah, what their screening requirements
Yeah,
are.
that'd be good.
We can also kind of well, I would say come up with some proposals. Like I said, the Garden Street lots are narrower, so having a 10-foot buffer on each side might narrow that area. So we can look at a few different options. It's not necessarily going to be what's in the landscaping regulation for the, the buffers, because those are between 30 and 100 feet wide for landscaping buffer. But we can look at, including some options for the commission to take a look at. It can be screening, it can be evergreens, or it can be fencing. It doesn't, we don't have to say it can only be this. You can give options in the regulation. So that way, people want to propose something. If you want to require additional controls, that can be part of it as well. Anything else anyone can think of
So I'm
right now?
curious about frontage, right? So the Garden Street lots, like you said, they're narrow. So what that's gonna do is that's gonna create, back parcels where the building's turned. It's the only way they're gonna be able to get there. Is there a way to, I think that kind of is a problem. Is there any way to, limit them by frontage?
Sure, so the R9 zone has graduated lot areas and frontage requirement. So we can pull that and give you the table that's in the requirements, so you can see in the R9 zone what the frontage and lot area requirement is for single, 2, 3, and 4 family. So
Okay.
you have that comparatively.
Okay.
Question too. Sorry if I missed this on the review notes. I'm assuming all these are public sewer, no one's on septic. Do we know that? Then it'd be.
I would
I think so.
generally, yes, the only exception might be some of the Lake Garda parcels historically, but the sewer's been running there, so it's highly unlikely. I think there's a few people in Lake Garda still on septic, but for the most part, they're because the sewers have been run through there.
Yeah.
Generally, these lots are these areas are too dense to support septic systems. But sewer is available in all these areas.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
sewer there's connections. So even if you're still on septic, it's unlikely that you'd be allowed to build a second system. So you'd have to connect to sewer.
Anybody else questions? Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I've got one more question. For these lots that have been identified, is it the case that they couldn't sort of achieve the same result under the 1 per lot rule via subdivision?
Right. So our as Shannon had said, we have an interior lot provision. It is quite restrictive.
Okay.
One of those being that the lot has to have been in existence prior to the adoption of the zoning regulations.
Okay.
So the lot has to be in its current state from 1950. So that wipes out
Everything.
a good chunk
Lot,
of
yeah.
parcels. And unless you go through and pull every single
Yeah.
deed, that I couldn't, it's not, this is something I would necessarily be able to do for all these properties to say, yep, they were existing, they could support an interior lot.
Yeah.
No other question. I will just say I have a comment. Living in the village, I'm kind of more used to the crazy weird lots
Yeah.
that we have with houses behind houses and one driveway and kind of a pull off is someone else's driveway. And I'm just a little more familiar with that, but if you aren't, it is a little odd. You kind of, how do you get there kind of thing? And so it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a regular occurrence in the village area.
Yeah.
I would just, yeah, if you have any other questions, you think of, you can just email Shannon and myself and we can add it to
Okay.
the list and start looking into it.
Sounds great.
Motion and a second to continue them?
Yeah.
May 28th.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the application for text amendment by Town Plan and Zoning Commission to the zoning regulations, Article 2, Section 3, to permit two-family dwellings on one lot in the R12 zone.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. Planners report.
I do not have anything for you this evening.
I have two questions.
Right.
Well, I was driving here and there's a big old backhoe by Claudia's and the driving range. Is a backhoe and silt fences and what's up?
Oh.
They are fixing a drainage problem that
Oh.
they created.
Oh, that they created.
That's a short answer.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the Tungus Country Club, why am I, here we go. I just needed to slide down. Tungus Country Club had historically on occasion provided off-site parking for
Yep.
Dream Ride.
Yep.
And in doing so, they created two driveways that
Mhm.
have bermed up. Well, this parking lot here doesn't have any drainage. It's sheet flow across. Well, now they're upset that their parking lot's flooding.
Okay.
So they've worked with Bruce and Inland Wetlands and they're fixing that. There, you'll see some other work, there's some other things they've been working on if you get online and track the wetlands applications, they've put forth kind of a master maintenance plan for the golf course because the entirety of the golf course is in the floodplain and or floodway of the Farmington River. So it's basically all regulated. So of course, over time, as we see even in our own yards, right? So some of the trees have to come out, they mature, they're pushing up into tee boxes or et cetera, a variety of things. When they were planted at the time, it was nice and manicured and now everything's grown and we've got all 30, 40-year-old trees. They've all grown together. So there's that end of the management plan. There's drainage swales that need to be maintained that have silted in. So they've put together a very extensive plan with All Points Technology as their soil scientists. And so you may start to see other things, but this in particular right here is fixing a drainage problem.
Okay. I just saw the backhoe and as I was driving here and I was a little surprised.
Sure.
So,
yes.
And then I have another one.
Okay.
And this came up in conversation. The historic building in the corner of Waterville Road and Route 4. Are we just at a stalemate and it's gonna slowly implode and get destroyed and then he'll win because the building is no longer habitable? Is that kind of where we stand?
I have, so we have limited options.
I understand that.
So we
I know
have,
it's
we
very
do have limited options. I have spoken with the property owner sporadically
Mhm.
to try to develop some interest at this point. My understanding, I have not been in the building,
Mhm.
but my understanding is based on the number of years that it's been left unoccupied, it perhaps for the most part is not salvageable.
Yep.
However, there perhaps are elements within that
Mhm.
could be preserved, and I've had conversations with him suggesting that if and when he's ready to redevelop, that perhaps those elements be repurposed on the property in a meaningful way. What that means exactly, I don't know. I think it
Mhm.
depends on what those elements are, but the intent would be that those be utilized in one consistent, cohesive fashion and not sprinkled here or there throughout.
Mhm.
So again, so that there's some meaningful reuse of the elements that are salvageable.
Okay.
That's the best I have for you.
Oh, that's something. Thank you. I appreciate your diligence.
What about using the blight rules? Because it's getting pretty ugly.
We can, and
Mm.
then he will pull a demolition permit and demolish it. So certainly we can.
Yes.
Because the blight rules,
Yes.
we fine him and then a lien goes on the property
Right.
because he hasn't, so, right?
Hmm.
It's a very interesting chess game.
Indeed. Indeed.
Anybody else?
I just have a comment. You guys probably already know this, but I need to have it in front of me. The 28th is a Wednesday. It's our weird one.
Right. Yes, reminder, good
Yeah.
reminder.
It's-
It's,
It is.
no one's
26th
here on
is,
Memorial
Because of
Day.
the
The
holiday.
28th is a Wednesday,
because
because
of the
the
holiday, yeah.
26th is
Right.
Memorial Day, and
Couple times a year we get these. Yeah.
yes,
Right,
we're
usually
getting kicked
Memorial
out.
Day
Yep.
and Veterans
I would have
Day,
known that.
Columbus
I
Day.
thought I'd just say
Yeah,
it
I
because
would've
I need to
appreciated.
hear it 8
What's the
times
reason?
before I remember something.
Yeah, it's usually Memorial Day and Columbus Day or Indigenous
Yep.
Peoples' Day.
All right, we want a motion in a second to approve the minutes from April 14.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 14, 2025 Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Meeting adjourned.